All right, so for back workouts, I always like to start with pull-ups, 3 or 4 sets, around 15 reps, and I wouldn't recommend starting with pull-ups if you can't really do that many of them, but it's one of the best back exercises there are in terms of overall development. Also, doing pull-ups with one leg is easier because you're lighter. So be aware, people who are missing lower body limbs are going to be good at pull-ups. Generally, by the time I'm done doing a few sets of pull-ups, I have a good amount of blood in my back already, so you jump right into the next exercise. I always recommend doing pull-ups in a back routine. Anybody who's very good at knocking out pull-ups is going to have a very developed back. So right here, I'm jumping into some wide grip pull downs. Definitely using a little body English on these last reps. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Like I said, when it comes to forced reps and quote unquote cheating, I would say when you first start training, it's something you definitely don't want to do because that's when you start falling into bad habits. I always say you should be focusing on feeling the muscle contract while going through the range of motion and not focusing on the weight moving. Once you develop that mind-muscle connection, you could cheat a little bit and still get work on the muscle group you're trying to focus on versus form getting thrown off and incorporating other muscle groups and contracting other muscle groups. Bent over rows are great. Not making excuses, a little more difficult to do when trying to maintain a slight bend on a piece of metal with a hinge on it versus having two knees. But once I feel like I kind of lock in a little bit, I'm able to knock out some decent reps. But there's no question about it, there's a lot of additional focus going into maintaining good form and even like standing centered making sure not leaning too much to one side or the other. It's pretty much one of the reasons I don't really do deadlifts is there's too much focus on trying to maintain my balance. And I look at deadlifts as one of the heavier motions, like a power motion, incorporates a lot of different muscle groups. You're able to lift more weight. And if you're putting a ton of effort into trying to keep your spine straight, it's not something you really want to go heavy on. Obviously, I'm only referring to amputees or people with, leg problems. Here, I decided to do a set of underhand grip rows. Again, these are great exercises. Barbell rows, I don't see them done too much anymore. Probably because they're not easy to do. Yeah, I'm doing laying dumbbell rows. I'm using a couple other dumbbells to elevate the bench a little bit so I can stretch my arms down. It's just being a little creative with coming up with some exercises. Back has always been my favorite muscle group, though. When you train your back, you feel like you just feel wider. It also, it hits your biceps, gives you like a solid overall feeling. For me, at least, it's always been by far my favorite muscle group to train. Also, I feel like outside of deadlifts, I don't think it's as common to pull a lat as it is a pec or a bicep or tricep or hamstring or quad. It happens, but I think some reason the back muscles are, I don't know, a little more robust. If that makes any sense. Just based on personal experience.